Andrew Lee is a Vietnamese refugee who fled his home country in the aftermath of the U.S.-Vietnam War and settled in San Francisco. With the support of his family, he has achieved tremendous success in business, specifically with the nationally recognized Sugar Bowl Bakery brand. Mr. Lee was honored with the Immigrant Heritage Award in 2011 for his courage and perseverance as an immigrant and for his valuable contributions to the community. He has been named the most admired CEO in the Bay Area, and he is recognized as a leading business figure in San Francisco. Let's say hello to Andrew Lee. And I believe Andrew is here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. How are you?
Good morning. How's everyone doing so far? Thank you so much for having me here today, and thank you so much for that kind introduction, Delton.
Andrew,
Sorry, go ahead, Amy.
Andrew, if you turn on your video, I can spotlight you. I'm going to send you a request to start your video so you can see.
Okay, my video, start my video. Okay. Technology is not my my thing yet. So okay. Well, can you see me now?
We can, thankfully. It's good to see you, my friend.
Okay, thank you so much for that introductions. And how do you want me to start? Just tell my story.
Let's start with this question, and it's about your origin story. Leaving Vietnam was not an event for you. It was actually a process because you attempted escape more than once. So how about sharing more about your experience fleeing Vietnam and the challenges you faced during that journey?
Yeah, I was born in Vietnam in the 1950s, and in a small village in the South Vietnam, in the very tail end of the South Vietnam, very close to coastal the Pacific Ocean. After the war, there was no opportunity for us to live a good life there because the government confiscated everything that we had at the time. And so we decided that Vietnam was not for us. So we decided to take the journey to become a refugee. And I fell twice. The first night, it was chaotic. The boat left and I was left behind. But I did not give up. So 6 nights later, I tried to escape one more time. And then when the Vietcong know that we tried to escape, they chased after us and they shot at us. One of my companions was shot dead, running alongside with me. But luckily God protected me, so I survived. But so about a few months later, we decided to decided to buy a small kayak, and we went to a different city, and we modified that kayak to become a small boat. And then in 1978, in October 1978, when the government knew that that they could not prevent the vast majority of the Vietnamese at that time tried to escape Vietnam, so they partially allow us to depart with some of the equipment that we give up all of our property in Vietnam, and they allow us to escape by boat to some other part of the country, like Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, or something like that. And our journey at that time, we planned to have 6 days and 6 nights to go to Malaysia, but somehow it took us a month on the journey to Malaysia, and we were robbed twice by the Thai pirates. So they held us up a couple of days on the ocean. And we were, literally, they took everything away from us. So at the time we arrived in Malaysia, the Malaysian government didn't allow us to get on shore, so they pushed us back to the ocean, and during that pushback, we saw a lot of dead body floating around our boat. So it was horrible, and then we were so scared. We tried to go to Singapore, and then the ocean became so unfriendly at that time. So we decided to get onto a small village, and we destroyed our boat. At that time, when we got on shore, the villager decided to rob us again, or they stone us, and they try to push us out to the ocean. Well, our boat was already destroyed, so they could not. But luckily, during that time, there was a delegation of the reporter called Far Eastern Economic Review, based out of Singapore, hunting for news. They saw us, so they protected us. And they called the International Red Cross to pick us up. And it was already a few nights, staying there. So we was running out of food, running out of water. The villager didn't give us anything. And then, at the time they pick us up to a transfer point, they gave us some kind of instant noodle. And I can tell you this, that instant noodle soup has always been my best dinner in my lifetime. And I still remember that. That is a Maggi noodle soup made by the Malaysian people. So, and then we a few nights later, they transferred us to a refugee camp called Pulau Bidong. At that time, it was relatively new. At the time we went there in 1978. It was and then about 2-3 months later, the small islands with about 3 square miles living, livable space, we had about 53,000 people live there.
Gosh.
The condition was horrible. Lots of people couldn't make it there, couldn't make it to the third country. They had to give up their life there. And it was the most horrible things that we encountered. We made that boat journey to come to Malaysia, but it was the most fearful time of my life, because my parents were a little older. I had nieces, nephews as young as a few months. And then the lack of basic needs, there was no fresh water, and we have to dig our own well. And we live in the basically next to a cemetery, and that cemetery is also an international airport for the high delegation of the United Nations to land and to interview us. So in 1979, we applied for many countries, but the top 5 countries that I always wanted to go to: United States, Canada, Australia, Switzerland, and France. But luckily, United States picked us, and then so we came to the United States in 1979. So when we landed in 1979, my parents, because all of my sisters and my brothers had families, so they couldn't come together. I was single at the time. And then my parents, I landed in the San Francisco Fairfield Air Force Base. At that time, that Air Force Base was used to transfer the refugee to the United States. So in the 1970s and 1980s, that it's a lot of refugees from Southeast Asia came to the United States. So that night, it was so cold. I remember it was so cold. I tried to make a phone call to my brother who came here about 4 months earlier than us, who live in San Francisco, and that brothers left Vietnam on a separate boat. It's a very small boat. It's like a tiny boat. And but he somehow he made it, and then he came to San Francisco a few months earlier than us. That night, I tried to make a phone call to my brother. I didn't know how to make a phone call, and there was it was a pay phone by the corner. At the corner, I tried to make a phone call. I got my phone numbers out, but I didn't know how to make a phone call. The lady from the other side of the room saw me, so she came across the room and tried to make that phone call for me, and that's how I reunited with my brother here, and then we came to San Francisco, and we live here since then. And that small act of kindness allow us to live in San Francisco instead of going elsewhere in the United States. Actually, we scheduled to go to Texas, but because of that phone call, so I stay in San Francisco.
Wow.
And that's a miracle, yeah.
I have to ask you, that final time when you landed in Malaysia and you decided to destroy the boats, why did you do that?
Because there was no option. There's no alternative. Because either we go back to the ocean and get killed because of the small boat is the ocean was so rough at the time, and we ran out of water, ran out of food. There are a lot of children crying, women fearful, and for us, we were young men, but we had no choice. We had to protect, we had to make sure that we live. Basically, we live another day instead of go there and we get killed. Right? So, especially when you are on the ocean at the time, like us, you saw a lot of people, a lot of body floating around your boat. What would you do? There's no alternative for us at the time. And that was the most difficult decision that we made. One of the most difficult decisions that we make to protect ourselves.
I just can't, I can't comprehend that type of desperation. That is incredible to me.
Thank you. It's so many. My story doesn't represent all of this Vietnamese refugee story. If you hear another story, like people get kidnapped by the Thai pirates, the whole family go on the boat, and there's certainly one or two young ladies being kidnapped by the Thai pirates, and they disappear until now. And those parents are still searching for their children, right? And then some of the women being kidnapped and get to a wild island, and they came back. Those pirates kept coming back to rape those women until they could no longer do it. So these stories are the most horrible story. My story was not that horrible compared to those people's story. And, I have to live through those stories until now. Sometimes I have a moment, I sit in the dark and I look out the window and I think I am a lucky one. I make it. And the whole family make it, not only me. So those are the story of the refugee at the time. I cannot speak for all of other refugees, but I know that the life of the refugee was hard. Yeah, was hard.
Well,
and today, I'm sorry, but today, if you pay me $10 million to relieve that journey, I would not do it. I would not take that $10 million.
Understand. And that simple act of kindness, helping make the phone call, you and your family have turned that into quite a booming success. Talk about the early days of starting Sugar Bowl Bakery with your family and the challenges that you faced in growing the business.
When we came here, we didn't have any money. I did not even have a 6th grade education. I did not go through the high school. I did not have a high school. So I came here, no money, no English speaking skill, no special skill. So we live in the Tenderloin. I don't know if you know San Francisco. The Tenderloin was the most horrific district in San Francisco. Drug dealers, prostitutes, prostitutions, and all kinds of funny things going on. But we lived there for a short while. Then my parents and my me and my brother decided that district was not for us, so we moved out of the city, but to a different district. And at that time we didn't have any special skill. I went to school. I know that in order for us to live in in the United States, to be accepted by the general populations, we have to try ourselves hard enough to assimilate into a society. So I went to AIISF school. I went to City College San Francisco 2 years, and I went to San Francisco State University for another 2 years to get my degree. But during that time, there was no alternative for us to build a good life by having our own store, our own business, or some kind of something that we can control, and we can make sure that we we have to create our own opportunity for financial success, right? So it was a little difficult. Did not speak English well, but luckily, another act of kindness is luckily at the time there was a small store called Sugar Bowl Bakery. It was a rundown store, $300 sales a day, serving coffee and donuts to local patrons. And our friends across the street said, "Hey, you know what? You guys may want to buy that store so you can start something." So at the time, we decided to buy that store. And then I went to a city hall to try to get a permit. I didn't speak English well, and people rejected to talk to me. Right? So there was a older Japanese American gentleman stood inside, and he looked at me, and he came out and he said, "Gentlemen, come back here and I help you out." And that's how he tried to help me out. And then he asked his staff to make sure that I get a permit to open that store. And then so that's how we opened it. And that's something strike me as you have to be kind to people in order for people to express to utilize their skill to contribute to to their own life and to the life of people around you, right? So that's how we got a store going. And then it was the whole family, about 6-7 people who worked there. We didn't get a salary, we didn't take a vacation. We wear the same clothes for probably 10 years. We bought from Goodwills at the time. And the objective at the time was to have a better future for ourselves in America. And we work hard. And then when my dad always say, work hard, stay humble, and be kind. And those 3 things is always ingrained into my mind that we have to work hard, right? We have to create our own opportunity. We have to grow. We have to put our one foot in front of the others, and we walk slowly. Regardless how slow we walk, we want to walk slowly forward. And if there is an opportunity for us to run along the way, then we run. But we don't want to run too fast, and then we stumble, and we can't, we have to fall. We fall, right? So that is how we do it. We do it slowly. We are not in a hurry to be rich. We only want to make a good living for our better future, and that's how we do it. And we do it day by day. We try to do better today than yesterday, and prepare today to do better tomorrow than today. And that's how we do it every single day for the last 30-some years, right? So today you may see that Sugar Bowl Bakery is an international recognized brand. Our products are popular in 10 10, 11 countries. You have about 550 employees. And by the way, thanks to your organizations, we hire probably 50% workforce are refugees, right? So we try to do better for ourselves. We try to make sure that we be kind to people who are like us before, right? So, and that's all what we do. And we try to stay off noise, and people make so much noise out there that this journey is better, that journey is better, but we walk our own journey and we control it. And that's how we are here today.
Wow, what a story. Well, how important was it for you to maintain a strong working relationship with your family members throughout the journey of building the bakery?
Well, family support is so crucial for us, and I believe that for every one of you who are here today too, right? So yeah, sometimes we argue, sometimes we want to kill each other, sometimes we want to beat each other up, but at the end of the day, we never leave anyone behind, right? So we support each other, we get together, we argue, but we take that glass of water, we drink that glass of water, we walk around the parking lot, and we come back and we talk again, and those are something that I have to deal with, and that is something I learned along the journey, that sometimes you have to be calm, right? Regardless how difficult situation is, you have to be calm, and being calm is a superpower that help us to get things done and get negotiations in our favor, and do a great job for myself and for the people around me.
So what was the turning point for Sugar Bowl Bakery in terms of expansion and growth?
Well, the turning point was at the time we saved in 1984, we founded the company. In 1986, we saved $90,000. And my oldest brother wanted to buy an apartment to lease out to people. And I disagree with him. And that's one of the arguments that we had. And I say, you know what, we have you have five siblings. Why can't we open up another store, right? And then I decided to get that $90,000, try to invest into a second store. We buy the building, by the way. And we bought the building, by the way. And then at that time, that building cost us $200-some thousand, but nobody wanted to finance us because we didn't have any credit history. We did not, we weren't proven to the bankers that we were able to pay back. So we negotiated with the building owner, and they decided to carry the note for us, and that was a turning point. So at that time, we bought that building. We opened up a second store. We decided to make some product and sell it to some local other coffee shop, 7-Elevens, other ethnic supermarkets, and that's how we build it up. And back in 1993, when we were a little strong enough, then we got a SBA loan, the government loan, SBA 504, to buy another coffee shop and to build a commissary. And that's how we expanded, and then we serve local hospitals, cafeteria, high-tech buildings, hotels, and we became one of the biggest in Northern California, with serving the hospitality at the time. And about year 2000, I always try to put one foot in front of the other, so I move slowly. But at some times, I always try to knock on the door of Safeways, of Costco's, of Starbucks, and I try to see if we can get somebody to buy from us, right? So I know that, you know, diversification at the time was so important for us because we cannot depend on only one or two, you know, different products or one or two different customers. So always try, and not back in 2000, Costco decided to take a walk at our building. At the time, our building was only 5,000 square foot.
Wow.
And they took a walk, and they, you know, the buyers saw, you know, the pomades. Andrew, can you make that for us? And that was another turning point. So we decided to make that for Costco. And Costco at the time demanded for great quality, good value, integrity of the companies, right? So so that's how we always, you know, try to embrace that philosophy: great value, great quality products, great values, treat people right, and support communities, right? So that's how we do it, and that is another turning point. So they bought from us, and we have that relationship with Costco for over the last 24 years.
Wow. Congratulations on that. One final question before we roll to the panel discussion. Macy asks, she cites that President Obama mentioned Sugar Bowl Bakery in a speech in 2013. How did that feel, and how did that impact your business?
Well, I feel grateful that the president's office reached out to an organization to ask me to use my story. This is a story that, you know, when I said family is so important, right? So that day, my wife had a lab test in the hospital, and I was driving my wife to the hospital. And then the lady called me, and I say, "Hey, Andrew, President Obama office want to talk to you." I say, "Oh, the president wants to talk to me. That's you know, that's a high honor for me. But here, you know, my wife has to go to a hospital to get a test. Can he talk with somebody else instead of me? Because, you know, my wife's more important than talking to the president, right?" So
that's a good call, Andrew. That was a good call.
Yeah, and then, you know, I brought my wife to the hospital. I ignored that call. And then, you know, I come back, and then 1 week later, the lady still call me and say, "Andrew, the president still like your story." And I said, "Oh, okay, yeah." Then, you know, now my wife, the test is negative, and yeah, I have some good news. Yeah, okay, of course, if the president wants to talk to me, that's okay now. And then that's how I talk. And then the director of communications of the president said, "The president only want to use your story for immigration speech." I say, "Okay, that's great. That's not politics. That's not red. That's not blue. You know, so it's only using my story for immigration speak. That's great." So so that's how I say yes. And then the president invited me to that event, and he made a lengthy speech using my story as our story as a example of immigration's success in the United States of America. And that was I am grateful for the president using my story.
And it's more than an immigration success story. It's a business success story, as your family now has the largest Asian-owned bakery in the United States. Is that correct?
I would say one of the largest, not the largest. I don't know enough about, you know, who else out there, but for the bakery, for the baked goods, you know, similar to us, I think that's not too many people do. You know, not too many Asians-owned companies in the United States do it, but I would say that is one of the biggest. Yes.
Well, congratulations. Thank you for sharing your story. And you're going to continue to stay with us as we move to the next panel.
Sure. Thank you so much, Delton. And thank you, everyone, for having me here and listening to my story. And I believe that everyone has a story to tell. So I am always Vietnamese, and I always speak English with the accent, and I'm always an immigrant. And I will tell my story authentically and truthfully, and continue to promote harmony within the community of refugees.
Andrew, you're a wonderful ambassador for your family, for your home nation, for refugees and immigrants.